Welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson 2 on the order of operations. So our vocabulary here is evaluate. And so that means to find an expression's value or to solve. So if you need to evaluate something, you need to get a definitive answer. So evaluate the expression. So here we want to evaluate 3 to the third. 3 to the third means 3 times 3 times 3, because you're taking that base number and multiplying it 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Bring down your times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. So evaluating 3 to the third gets us 27. I want you to pause here and try these. There's a way you can do this on the calculator, and you can ask me if you would like, but it's good for you to know how to solve this without a calculator as well. So 2 to the fourth is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. We've got 4 to the fifth. So 4 times 4. 3, 4, 5 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Times 4 times 4, which is 16. Times 4. It's just coming on down. 16 times 16 is 256. Bringing down our times 4, and 256 times 4 is 1,024. So 4 to the fifth is 1,024. And then 7 times 3, or to the third, is 7 times 7 times 7. You're multiplying 7 3 times. 7 times 7 is 49. Bringing down our times 7. 49 times 7 is 343. So 7 to the third is 343. Here in our vocabulary, again, we've got our order of operations, which is PEMDAS. So parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. And I should put a subtraction symbol, not an S. So addition and subtraction are one group, and multiplication and division is one group. So you just go from left to right with those. You don't do all the addition first and then the subtraction. And this should definitely be review for you. So we've got to do the order of operations here. So I'm just going to write PEMDAS up here so I can remember. I don't see any parentheses, so I got to do some exponents. So here's some exponents. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. Then everything else needs to be brought down. So 16 minus 8 divided by 4 plus 14. So check, we did that, check. Multiplication and division is 1. Looks like we've got some division here. 8 divided by 4. So I'm going to write down my 16 minus, because that's just going to stay. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then our plus 14 needs to come. There's no more multiplication and division, but we have addition and subtraction. And with addition and subtraction, you just go from left to right. So 16 minus 2 is going to get us 14 plus 14. And then 14 plus 14 is 28. So our answer there would be 28. I want you to pause here and try these ones on your own, and then check with mine. So we're going to keep our PEMDAS, and I'm going to write it for both, so I can cross things off. So parentheses, don't see anything. In this one here, the 3 plus 42 times 2 minus 5. I don't see any exponents. I do see some multiplication though. So 42 times 2. So 3 plus just comes on down. 42 times 2 is 84. Minus 5 comes on down. And now we're to addition and subtraction. So we just go from left to right. So 3 plus 84 is 87. Minus 5 comes on down. 87 minus 5 is 82. On to our next problem here, 20 minus 7 plus 8 squared minus 7 times 11. So first off, I don't see any parentheses, so we're in the clear there. I see an exponent, so 8 squared. So we write down everything, 20 minus 7 plus 8 squared. 8 times 8 is 64, and then everything else gets written in. So 7 times 11. No more exponents left, so multiplication and division. Going from left to right here, we only have it at the end. 7 times 11. So I'm going to write everything out. 20 minus 7 plus 64 minus 7 times 11 is 77. I don't see any more multiplication and division, so we're just going to work from left to right. So 20 minus 7 is 13. Bring everything else with us. 13 plus 64, because we're just going from left to right now, will get us 77. Minus 77 comes down, and 77 minus 77 is 0. Here we've got expressions with grouping symbols. So now we've got our parentheses up in here. And with parentheses, you do that first. So we're just going to work through them. Sometimes you have multiple layers of parentheses, and that's where it can get a little messy. So we've got our PEMDAS. And we've got parentheses right away. So inside of our parentheses here is 10 minus 6. So that's an easy one. I'm going to write out everything. 4 divided by 2 plus 5, parentheses. 10 minus 6 is 4. Now there's no exponents. We're on to multiplication and division, going from left to right. So 4 divided by 2, that's our first one. 4 divided by 2 is 2 plus 5, parenthesis 4. When you see a number without a symbol next to a number in parentheses, that means multiplication. So this 5 parenthesis 4 means 5 times 4. So we're going to bring down our 2 plus. 5 times 4 is 20. And then 20 plus 2 is 22. Over here we've got 6 parenthesis 32 minus parenthesis 2 plus 3 parenthesis squared parenthesis. Okay, so we can see we've got a big parenthesis chunk here. But then even within that, we have more parentheses. So our 2 plus 3 comes before that even. So we're going to write everything 32 minus parenthesis. 2 plus 3 is 5, parenthesis, squared, within another layer of parentheses. Okay, now we're still working inside of our first layer of parentheses. But we've got no more parentheses inside because what's within the parentheses there, 5, is already solved. So now we can take 5 squared because of our exponents next. We're going to write everything out. 6, 32 minus 5 squared is 5 times 5, 25. Now we're going back. 6 parenthesis 32 minus 25. There we've got just what's inside of the parentheses. 32 minus 25, which will get us 7, I believe. Yes, 6 parenthesis 7. When you see a number next to a number in parentheses, that means times. So 6 times 7 gets us 42. And your answer there is 42. Okay, now we've got 2/3 minus 5 divided by 15 plus 3. So what you do when you see fractions like this is you solve the top and then you solve the bottom. And then the last thing you're doing is dividing. So it's kind of like there's parentheses around the numerator and parentheses around the denominator. So 2/3 is our first step. 2/3 is 2 times 2 times 2. So that would be 8 minus 5 over. Our denominator is like a parenthesis 2, We just do 15 plus 9 to get us 24. And now we still have stuff we can do on the top here. 8 minus 5, which gets us 3 over 24. And boom, there's our answer. It can be a fraction as 3/24. So your numerator and your denominator are like their own sets of parentheses. So I want you to go ahead and pause here and check with me. I'm not going to be breaking it down as much here as just kind of cranking out. So if you are stuck, make sure that you are asking me questions in class. Okay, so 10 minus 8 is 2 plus 20. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 times 2 is 40 plus 20, which is 60. So if you don't get 60, make sure that you're asking me and I can break this down a little further for you. Here, 15 minus 10 plus 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So 10 plus 1 plus 6. 15 minus 11 plus 6. Right? Technically this 11 is in parentheses, but since this minus sign is here, that means 15 minus 11, which is 4 plus 6, which is 10. Down here, 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 squared is 81. 7 minus 4 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 81 divided by 9 is 9. So evaluate an algebraic expression. So now what we're doing is we're replacing a variable for a number and then solving. So we've got 3x is 4 squared plus 2, y is 5 plus z is 3 cubed. Okay, so starting off with parentheses and exponents, 3 squared is 9 plus 2, 5 plus 3, 4 squared. Okay, still working on my parentheses here. 2 times 5, 10 plus 9. I'm just going to write that as 19. I can skip ahead there. Plus 3 times 4 squared. Now we're done with our parentheses. It's all solved in there. We have 3 times 4 squared. I need to make sure I'm following PEMDAS here and doing that exponent first. So all I'm doing is taking 4 squared. So 4 times 4 is 16 plus 19. Then I'm taking 3 times 16, which is 48, plus 19. To get us 67. So really making sure I'm breaking this down, taking my time and doing my steps correctly. Because if I just plug this mess into the calculator, I can guarantee that I'm going to screw up somewhere. You can calculate things with your calculator as you manually break it down. So you need to make sure you're taking these steps and not just plugging in all of the numbers right away, because you're going to screw it up and you're going to get the wrong answer. Your calculator is not smart enough to handle all of the messy work that this gets you. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and try this and check back. So 2 squared parenthesis 3 times 6 plus 5 divided by c, which is 4. Okay, working on my parentheses here, 3 times 6 is 18 plus 5 divided by 4 with 2 squared on the outside over here. 18 plus 5 is 23. Boom, we got that all solved out inside the parentheses. Outside, we've got an exponent, 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4, parentheses 23, divided by 4. Now we're working from left to right. So 4 times 23, which is 92, divided by 4, which gets us the answer of 23. Now we got some word problems. So it says science on a sphere demonstrates the effects of atmospheric storms, climate changes, and ocean temperatures on the environment. The volume of a sphere is 4/3 of pi multiplied by the radius to the third power. So we need to write an expression to represent the volume of a sphere. So that's this written out here. So 4/3 of pi. Of means multiply. So we've got 4/3 pi multiplied by the radius to the third power. So radius to the third. We want to find the volume of the 3-foot radius sphere used for SOS. So we're going to plug in 3-foot radius in for our equation. I'm going to go 4/3, sorry, times pi, which is 3.14, times our radius, which is 3 to the third. 3 to the third is 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Now we've just got multiplication straight across the board. So 4/3 times pi, which is 3.14, gets us 4.186 repeating. So I'm just going to round to the 10th here and call that 4.1. So 4.186, I'm going to round that to 4.19. And then taking 4.19 times 27 to get 113.13. And that's in feet cubed because our volume is 3 dimensions. Don't forget that label. Now you try. Pause, check back, see what you get. So according to the California Department of Forestry, an average of 539.2 fires each year are started by burning debris, while campfires are responsible for an average of 129.1 each year. So we want to write an algebraic expression for the number of fires on average in D years of debris burning and C years of campfire. So if it's 539.2 for 1 year, to figure out what it is for 3 years, for example, we're going to multiply. So 539.2 times our variable D. And then that's the same thing. We're adding the debris fires with the campfires to get the total number of fires. So that's 129.1 per year, and some years of campfires, C. And that equals our F for fires. It wants us to see how many fires there would be in 5 years. So we're going to replace our variables with 5. So 5 years of debris fires and 5 years of campfires. We're going to do our multiplication first. So 539.2 times 5 gets us 2,696 plus 129.1 times 5, which gets 645.5. And now all we have to do is add those two together. So 2,696 plus 645.5 gets us 3,341.5 fires on average over 5 years.